what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh. I'm with the band, your front row ticket to interviews and jam sessions with up-and-coming artists.
This is Chad Austin, and on today's episode of I'm With the Band, we have the Celtic duo, the Belfast Boys. Hailing from Belfast in Northern Ireland, Alyn and Adrian have settled here in Hickory and are gearing up to release their new CD, Songs for Crying Out Loud. Let's take a listen.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling. Glen to glen.
This is Chad Austin, and today in I'm With the Band, we have the Belfast Boys. We have Alyn Mearns and Adrian Rice.
Yep.
How you doing?
How's it going?
Thank you for coming today. And actually, I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking because I love the accents. I'm just going to let you guys interview yourselves. Because everybody...
we do a lot of that. Long trips.
Well, and we also are joined by Adrian's son today.
Yeah, and now the only problem is he's not my 30-year-old boy in Ireland, or one of my daughters in Ireland. He's only 18 months, so if you hear talking at the wrong times and
screaming,
crying and things, it's not Alyn.
It's me.
No, it could be.
It might be
it's
me.
little Micah. His name's
me.
Micah.
Micah?
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Micah.
Yeah, there he is. He wants to crawl. He's wanting to walk and kick and...
I have the same issues, and I wake up every 2 hours and I wet the bed. So, we might have something in common.
Definitely. We've got diapers for you, and, an adult one if you need it.
Well, the police won't allow me around kids because I drive a big white van with tinted windows. I'm on a special list.
Very
yeah.
Well, now, the people who are going to be listening, because Americans, for the most part, are stupid about geography. So let's talk about Belfast just for a second, because in the bio that I've got here, it talks that you guys both are from the troubled streets of Belfast, Ireland. Northern Ireland. Mm-hmm. Now, except for people who might be into U2, a lot of people over here don't understand what that means or even what the conflict is. Can you sum that up for listeners?
I'll tell you, I'm actually writing poems about it at the minute. The Troubles basically started what we call the Northern Irish Troubles. They've been going on for 800-900 years, obviously, trouble between Ireland and Britain. But the recent one started in the late 1960s. So I'm the older half of this Belfast Boys duo. So I was actually 10 when the Troubles broke out. And so you lived through that for like 30 years, of body searches and worrying about getting blown up and, getting beaten up and all sorts of things. But mainly just a horrible kind of almost civil war conflict, really, between people in the north of Ireland who want to unite the north of Ireland with the rest of Ireland, independent of Britain, and people in Northern Ireland, Scots-Irish, who want to stay part of Great Britain and don't want anything really to do with the south of Ireland. So it's a real kind of two drunken men fighting over one field.
Right.
Well, it was a very serious time,
So it's not ever gotten better?
Yeah, it's still always bubbling under the surface, isn't it? The lava's always there, but it's definitely gotten better.
Yeah, there's a peace process in play. The IRA, the main kind of, anti-English terrorist brigade, they called a ceasefire in 1994, which, has greatly helped things in the long run. There's been trouble since, but... nowadays there is a joint power-sharing government in place, with both sides well represented, the Catholics and the Protestants and the dissenters as well, hopefully. So just the odd time, maybe around the marching season, as they call it, in the summer, something like that, there'll be the traditional flare-ups. It's always in tough, in your face, looking at each other over the peace wall, literally peace wall. Working class areas, they're the people who get it hard, So it's hard for them to watch the rest of the country go on, seemingly putting the past behind them, hopefully. And they're kind of saying, well, what's changing for us? And we still have these guys across the wall that we hate as much as ever, and they hate us as much as ever. So, but compared to when I was growing up, this is it's like paradise in Belfast now compared to that.
Right.
You know?
Well, do you ever get frustrated with people here who don't understand?
Well, so
that kind of
it
conflict?
was very hard when I went to, like, I came over when I was about 16, and
When was that?
high school, I was like, people would say, "Where are you from?" And I would always kind of gulp guiltily when I'd say I'm from Ireland, because I would have been raised, say I'm from Northern Ireland, so people don't really know much. If they don't know what Northern Ireland is, that's actually a country of its own. They don't know much about Ireland, really.
Right,
so.
right.
Oh, totally. I mean, I teach at Heights, at CBCC, teach English for them, and I'm amazed. I've got students from 18 to 80, literally, and it's extraordinary how many of them don't even know that there is technically two Irelands.
Right.
And to be honest with you, a lot of them don't even know where Ireland is in the map or anything
Right.
like that. It's really that. Now, they love St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
And they're wonderfully bright people, but you get kind of insular over here a lot, and they just, Ireland,
Yeah.
surely that's just one simple country, and what do you mean fighting in Ireland? Then when you tell them the IRA, they think it's something to do with the tax people or
Right.
something like that, But
Savings.
it's a serious thing. I mean, my brother was a policeman, and he had to move 3 times under IRA death threats, and then we discovered that I'm actually half and half Protestant and Catholic. My father didn't know that he was actually a Catholic because he'd been fostered from birth. He only found out when he was 40. So on one side of my family, you have policemen, that the IRA and the Catholics hate. And on the other side of the family now, you have one of the leaders of the South Armagh IRA, So even within my own person, the conflict is played out, It's so surreal.
Well, I want to talk about the CD release party, which is one of the reasons why we're having this kind of special edition today. But you did touch on something that I think the audience needs to know about, and that's your poetry.
Right.
You're quite an established poet, recognized.
Well, Alan normally, bums me up that way, and all this.
Yeah, Adrian is definitely, one of the most important Northern Irish poets. Absolutely, definitely very. Even important to me personally. Growing up with that kind of, it's almost like a stigma you grew up with, where the south of Ireland, you feel like a wee Belfast child, like the Simply or whatever.
Had you heard
Simple Minds song?
Had you heard of Adrian before you had?
Well, I knew he was in Hickory, and I found his book, in Barnes and Noble, which addresses a lot of that, identity crisis in a way of being a Protestant from the north of Ireland, where you feel like, am I really the kind of Irish that is accepted, kind of thing,
right.
Because you're kind of rejected in a way by Britain, rejected by the south of Ireland. So we have this very stalwart, stony people who are like, we're ourselves and screw the rest of you, kind of. But Adrian kind of put that identity, what an Ulster Protestant is in his poetry, and that it's a real variety of Irishness. It's, so it was very important to me coming to the States, telling people I'm from Ireland and telling people, with nobody really understanding
Right.
where I'm really from,
Well, we actually met in Barnes and Noble, where the books were. I'd been brought over as writer-in-residence for LR.
Right.
And did a 6-week stint, and then they brought me back in 2005 for 6 months for the official kind of residency. And we met in Barnes and Noble. He recognised my accent talking to my wife, and I recognised his, and we just clicked. And he shocked me by telling me he had got the book, The Mason's Tongue, and he had put one of the poems called The Dummy Flute of the Music, which just blew me away. So, yeah, poetry's, it's a very serious thing in Ireland, and you have a big responsibility. You can't be too navel-gazing and too we don't do poetry for therapy, it's,
right.
You're either a poet or you're not, and other poets who are poets tell you you're a poet. You don't stand up and say, oh, I'm a poet. It's really like a laying on of hands. It's a very strange experience. Whereas here I find it's a lot different. Maybe it's just there's so many writing programs, and
right.
we're kind of encouraged, which is great, that we all can write.
It's because America has a very short history and really hasn't established anything. You're talking about millennia of history where you're from.
That's probably it. Probably it. There's something about that kind of hierarchy, like a bardic school almost.
Right.
So I didn't want to write poetry because I loved it from a young age, and secretly, because of where I came from, you couldn't let people know you liked poetry. I mean, we were like skinheads, and we were up to no good. So that would have been like really wimpy to like poetry. So you had to hide your love of poetry, but it was like, say, an artist talked me into writing it, and so you had to be forced to write it because you knew what good stuff was.
Right.
So what's the point in writing it if the good people don't like your stuff, So somebody thought I could do it and kind of convinced me to do it, and it's just taken over your life. It's become totally your life.
Well, where you're as an accomplished poet, then you've got Alyn, who is a pretty accomplished musician as well.
And I'll tell you what, it's not a back-scratching job here, like we secretly,
Although a good back scratch is always welcome.
Yeah. He's a good poet too, actually. He just hasn't, because of his music and all, he hasn't taken the time to even send a poem to a magazine or something. But, I use Alyn very much as like my little, Alyn's like an editor for me, that I trust, like a brain and a poetry reader that I trust. And he's, he sends me the odd poem too, and I go, wow, like Alyn could put a book together tomorrow, but it's just a matter of time before he does that. So,
well, when you guys perform as the Belfast Boys, you guys do some cover tunes, like I saw and heard and enjoyed the Eleanor Rigby takes. I'm a huge Beatles fan.
Yeah.
So you do some cover stuff, some traditional Celtic, but you guys do original stuff as well, correct?
Well, what we're trying to do, really, there's a huge pool of Irish music to draw on. A lot of old ballads, which is like the genuine Irish stuff, which we try to do properly. And then the other vein that we do with the Irish music is to try and kind of polish the dust off some older, maybe more cliched songs,
Right.
Which this album's really about, There's actually songs that are mostly we would associate with the north of Ireland, like Danny Boy and the Mountains of Mourne,
right.
Carrickfergus, which are very famous songs, but are kind of got this salon quality or barroom quality, even in the worst of cases. So we're trying to kind of modernize those a wee bit, and so you're kind of really putting your footprint on it that way. Eventually, when we are going to have our next album will be totally original, and it'll be kind of portraying this particular beautiful river that goes through the Mountains of Mourne called Shimna, and it's going to be like this kind of...
And Alyn has penned, the one kind of hint of that album, that project, is a little tune, just a couple of minutes long, called Shimna, which will be like a little motif that'll run through the Shimna album, So there's a little hint in there. It's the only tune on this album. The rest, they're like 7 major songs.
Right.
Very famous songs, but they're extremely like original. Like you wouldn't have heard anything close to versions that we do,
Well, it's kind of like a process where, Alyn will look at me and go, look, we're not playing Danny Boy, we're not playing the Mountains of Mourne, they're just so cliched. And then over a beer or a cup of coffee, I'll say to him, well, you could do a version of Danny Boy, surely, that would like kind of bring it, modernize it. And he goes, well, and then the next minute he comes around and goes, what about this? And you're like, all of a sudden, Danny Boy's my favourite song,
right.
And he's done it with the Mountains of Mourne and other songs on the album. So I kind of like throwing those. And other people have done that, friends of ours like Paul Custer, the History Prophet LR, they've thrown out challenges to him like, what about this song? So it's that kind of project, because we're aware that over here we could go into bars and be really, really popular, playing all the sing-song stuff, playing up to the Irish and America bit.
Right.
That would just destroy us, it would just not be satisfying. It wouldn't be enjoyable for us. So we love the music, but we love the really challenging ourselves to bring out what's beautiful in a song like Danny Boy. It's not just a drunken party song.
Have you guys tried playing at Re-Ra's in Charlotte?
Alyn's played there before a couple of times at different incarnations. I played there once too. We played in Connolly's in Charlotte a few times as the Belfast Boys, but it's kind of like, we certainly want to get back into Charlotte and all, but playing places that kind of appreciate totally, not that Re-Ra's doesn't, but places that we know up in Raleigh or wherever that, really, they want to hear the jigs and the reels and the kind of pure stuff.
Right.
They're not really saying you got to play some drunken sing-song stuff, which some bars pressure you into that.
Right.
And we'd just rather not do that, We can do it, but
you choose not to.
We will do it.
And we will
for the right
money's right.
I sure understand.
For the right price.
Well, the CD is called Songs for Crying Out Loud.
explains itself, hopefully. Yeah.
The CD release party is next Friday, the 21st, at the Main Cellar Club, which is right off of First Avenue, for those of you who haven't been there, across from Post Office Barbecue. Really, it's about 2 spaces down. Or for the people here, it's beside of the ABC store.
Under Market on Main.
Under Market on Main.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Boy, I did. Why don't you guys give us a taste of what's going to be on this album?
Okay.
Your choice of the song?
Yeah, we can do Danny Boy. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hear the Belfast Boys rendition of Danny Boy.
I suppose we should say we put it on the CD sleeve, but we've got fathers who are still alive and kicking, very much so, and let's just say that their reputation in Belfast goes before them.
Right.
They now don't use their fists, but thankfully. But when they were younger, they were notorious in their different areas as what we call hard men.
Right.
And so tongue-in-cheek, but more than tongue-in-cheek, but we've dedicated Danny Boy to the 2 hard men who we know will be crying when they hear Danny Boy.
Excellent. Let's listen.
All right, this is Danny Boy, a la Belfast Boys.
Pipes are calling from glen to glen, and down the mountainside. The summer's gone, and all the roses falling. 'Tis you, must go, and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny Boy, oh, Danny Boy, I love you so. My Danny Boy, sweet Danny Boy. What if you come and all the flowers are dying, and I am dead, as dead I will be. You'll come and find the place where I am lying. and say, I'll be there for me. And I shall hear the soft your tread above me, and all my grave the warmer, sweeter be. For you will bend and tell me that you love me, and I will sleep in peace until you come to me. My Danny boy, sweet Danny boy. Pipes are calling. The pipes are calling. The pipes are calling.
We'll get back to your show in a moment. Just a reminder, you're listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Find out more at themesh.tv and give us feedback on what you like.
We'll get back to the interview with the Belfast Boys in just a second, but first, let's listen to Chad's playlist. I've got a couple of songs if you really want to pursue a little bit more Celtic background. There's the new band Mumford & Sons. There's a band called Planxty, which is the Beatles of Celtic music. And then there's another band called Bothy.
The Bothy Band.
The Bothy Band. Hey, this is my plug. Well, you're not... You know what? I quit.
Just keeping you right. Keeping you right.
We're back, and the first question I want to ask after that wonderful performance is about Alyn's solo career.
Oh, well, I mean, I've kind of got two different things that I've done, you know. I grew up kind of going into classical guitar a wee bit later, so I did my master's degree in classical guitar, and
Excellent.
I do that, you know, quite seriously, and but I also got kind of addicted to writing songs. You know, when I moved to Nashville to do my classical career, I just started writing songs all the time, and I kind of became the real focal point of what I do. You know, so I'll be releasing a record properly sometime soon. It's all been recorded. We're just trying to find the right publicist and that kind of stuff for the push, you know.
Oh, excellent. To get your master's in classical guitar means you have to put quite a bit of time into rehearsal on your instrument.
Too much time, yeah.
But when you become a writer and that becomes your focus, the rehearsing your instrument has to take a back seat.
Yeah, well, when I had a band, I had a rock and roll band called Airspace for a while, and that took a lot of time and a lot of effort and diplomacy and figuring out songs and stuff. But the rehearsals are very easy when it's just you and your fingers. You know?
That's right.
But yeah, when I'm writing songs, it's a totally different thing. You know, you're not worried about the technique because it's kind of already there, and you're just more like a child. You know, when you're writing, you're being led by your ear more. So that's just a process that I just enjoy. You know.
So when did you move to Nashville?
I moved to Nashville 2001. Yeah, 2001. Lived there for about 3 years. You know.
Why'd you come back?
And then I moved back to start a band. You know, Hickory. All the producers in Nashville that I talked to were like, "Yeah, you don't start a band in Nashville.
Right.
It's saturated." So they were like, "Go to where you're from," you know.
Well, that
easier.
You know, and that's a good point because a lot of people who are trying to make it, will go to what they consider the hubs. And the problem is it's like throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. But it's real easy to see what sticks in a smaller area.
Yeah, well, there's in those places, New York's the same, and LA is like just an ocean, you know, of mediocrity, you know, for that reason, really. And there's obviously in some respects, if you're making films, you definitely want to go to LA or New York. But you know, you think of great bands in the past, you know, or big bands, the Beatles, U2, R.E.M., you know, they all had a very kind of colloquial identity that strengthened their, you know, thing. So,
did Airspace play in Charlotte a lot?
Yeah, we played, you know, all around the southeast and up in New York and, you know, wherever we could. Yeah, but you know,
I think I remember seeing you guys on a couple of bills. That sounds real familiar. Do you guys have any stuff online still?
Yeah, you can see some stuff online. We kind of actually split up just before we released our LP, but that's something I'm going to be releasing. You know, my kind of guys in Atlanta are going to be releasing at some point.
Oh, excellent.
Kind of a double thing.
Where was Airspace based out of?
Well, James was actually from Northern Ireland, and I met him here. And the other two guys one was a Georgia boy, and the other guy, Alex, was from Taylorsville, and so we kind of convened and lived here. You know, so. Yeah.
Is that did you guys play Re-Rise with that band?
No.
Huh.
This was kind of like indie rock, you know.
Right.
So.
What do you call the club you played in Charlotte a lot?
Milestone?
Well, Evening Muse.
Oh, yeah.
Like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I love playing there.
Visualite and whatever.
Yeah, that's a cool place too. One of my new favorite bands is Mumford & Sons.
Yeah, they're great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
There's
Favorites.
Was Austin City Limits?
So that.
It's a wee bit of that, you know, even in that kind of style in our Irish music we do, you know, there's kind of that heartfelt, you know, freedom.
Right.
Know, that they would kind of...
I love the textures. It's so unorthodox, and it really works well together.
Yeah, I was just disappointed they only did half an hour on that, Austin.
I know.
I don't know why they would have to share with anybody.
I know. And the new, I cannot wait for the new album. They just came through over the summer down here to
Nashville, I believe, and missed that.
I wish they'd have been here because I found out the day they were coming. But anyway, so where are you guys recording your stuff at?
At my studio, just you know, I've got a wee studio in my house, you know.
You have a wee studio?
Yeah.
It's lovely. It's actually lovely, you know.
I mean, I'm thinking like Nintendo. You have a Wii studio?
Oh, a Wii studio? No. I don't play with my Wii that much. You know?
Yeah. It's because you're married.
Exactly.
Actually, it should be the other way around. Anyway.
So like Howard Stern
It's
show.
great.
I listen daily. What kind of setup do you have for recording?
Well, it's Pro Tools, you know, just basic stuff I need. You know, it's very
the stuff that you guys have on MySpace.
No, that's not that. We haven't put up stuff from our actual recording yet, but that's just rough demos. But
right,
Mickey Mouse.
This is.
They sounded good. They were clean.
They were
well, this sounds a lot better.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know if Carrie, his wife, particularly enjoyed the fact that he took over a room and turned it into a studio, but you know, it's
that's
a lovely
not
little
work for
den to go into.
Well, any significant other of a musician who is a writer that has any recording sense whatsoever needs to realize that one room is theirs. And I have to say significant other because I know women who are the same way that are writers. They have that artistic room.
Yeah.
It's their man cave or she cave.
Yeah.
Oh,
The kids
she's
use
a
the
great
computer,
supporter.
you know. The kids use the computer, and I don't know if I could be with there's nobody else I could fit with, you know, than her. She's amazing.
I guess it sounded like I was saying don't hold your wife up. I'm just saying that
no.
I'm speaking from experience. You have to have that room.
Absolutely, has to have a sanctuary.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I love my little sanctuary.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's nice. Yeah, see, I got to say that nicely because since I know your sister, she'll kick my butt for saying anything bad.
Oh,
Yeah,
she's dangerous.
She certainly
Yeah.
would. Yeah, I wouldn't tangle
She'll
with her. You know?
I'll tell you how it is. All right. She's an angel.
She's a Mearns.
Let's plug the album again. The Songs for Crying Out Loud.
Guaranteed to make grown men cry.
What is?
It's
This
guaranteed.
song, guaranteed
right.
to make
Yeah,
grown men
totally.
cry.
The CD release party again is on the 21st, which is next Friday.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you guys to record all these songs?
Well, we did. We decided very early on that we wanted to get as much of a live feel as we could, you know. So I mean, we sat in over and over and over again. We did take after take after take, mandolin guitar, you know, literally to try and get one that didn't have to be tampered with at all, really. You know,
Yeah, it's
and
mostly
we
the
managed to
rehearsing
do
was
that.
took time, you know.
Right.
Just what we wanted to
You know,
have
so
it
you
organic
kind of
sounding.
honed
You know.
them so for so long, and then right, let's go in for a full evening to do this one
Yeah.
song, you know, because we just didn't want to have, you know, we wanted it to be us playing. So,
Yeah.
you know, we would dare to say that it sounds like it isn't like that, you know, that surely you must have cut and pasted stuff, but we
No,
really haven't, you know.
So it's very pure, no overdubs?
Well, there's occasional wee strings put in there, or you know, bodhran, you know.
Right.
But a friend of ours, Melissa Alderman, plays brilliant fiddle, a couple of songs. So those are really the only. I play a wee bit of whistle. But that's it. It's mostly me and Adrian playing,
Now,
singing.
when you guys play live, you have other musicians that come up and jam with you sometimes?
Rarely. Sometimes.
Yeah, we did that in Raleigh. We had a residency up there in a big Irish bar, and we had two lovely guys, James and Alan, that would sit in with us and that,
Yeah.
you know. And but you know,
Kind of as
mainly
our
it's
stuff has
just-
developed, you know, and some of these newer arrangements, it's become it's kind of sophisticated arrangements,
Right.
you know, with the both of us. It's hard.
In other words, the person that comes in goes, I know a couple of
Yeah,
Irish
you
folk
can't
songs.
just play
not tonight, you
willy-nilly.
don't. Yeah.
We'll let people come up and sing a cappella
Right.
or sing some of the wee barroom songs
right.
with us.
I'd be like, get off my stage.
you know,
Don't steal my thunder.
We play our stuff, and then you know you invite them up at the end. You get a few brave souls that
Do some
will
fun
come up and try and
songs.
sing Molly Malone or something like
Right.
that. You know, that's always great crack, as we say in Belfast. And I suppose I have to explain that crack isn't crack. Crack is spelled C-R-A-I-C. It's an Irish
It's a
word.
different kind of cocaine.
It just means fun.
Right.
You know, so at home you would say, what's the crack? You just mean like, what's the form? What's the fun? What are you doing? You up to anything good? Or it was great crack last night.
Right.
That means it was great fun in the
a good
bar
laugh,
last night.
yeah.
You know, a good laugh.
Well, I guess it was before you got here. Hickory used to be very furniture based.
Yeah.
And I spent several years at Applebee's being the head bartender there, Tuesday through Saturday night, every night for years.
Wow.
Had a pretty good little patron group that would come in all the time. And it was right beside the furniture gallery, or the furniture mart. And there was always a huge crowd, influx of people coming in. Nice little business to be beside. There was this group of guys that came over from Ireland. There were 5 of them, and they were studying different furniture facilities here. This was around 96.
Okay.
So the furniture mart was still going strong. Not everything had gone to China yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're paying for that now.
Oh, yeah.
So these guys were also...
Trickle down.
Yeah, really. Not only were they the best tippers,
Right.
I mean, it was usually, out of the 5, it'd be about $80 to $100 a night.
Wow.
Yeah, and the last night they were there, which was Saturday, I think my tip was almost $300.
That's a lot of drinking.
Well, I know. Yeah, they drank heavily. But the last night, I brought one of my recorders over and my guitar. I actually brought a couple of guitars over.
Yeah.
And once we closed down, I went over to the hotel room and woke up really strange the next day. No.
Violated.
Something was wrong. Irish whiskey, Irish cream. I don't know what they were talking about. But we did a bunch of stuff, and I recorded the whole thing, and we had a blast. Couldn't tell you what we played. I'm sure they were simple arrangements, but they were some of the nicest people. So whenever I think of Celtic music, that's what I think about.
Hotel room, Hickory, 5 Irishmen.
Yeah, I know.
Drink, music.
That's my nickname on the basketball court is Irish Cream.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Do we want to delve into that?
Well,
you know.
You mean to go to the court and settle? Put the wrong shoes on, but...
He's dodgy knees anyway, you know, that's what held him back.
Well,
ankles.
Do you guys want to play another song and take us out?
Yeah, well, maybe play like a more traditional, like there's nothing more, we and Adrian like to say there's nothing more Irish than some Irish polkas.
Right.
But we like to play this wee set of polkas. What's the names of them? Do you remember?
You got John Ryan's polka, the £42 check.
For Guinness.
And Dennis Murphy's polka.
Yeah.
All right.
There's 3 of them, you know, that run together.
Well,
or we run them together anyway.
Well, Alyn and Adrian.
Alyn the Scallion.
Alyn and Adrian. Actually, my parents are the only people who to this day don't spell my name right. You know, both of them spell it Adrian, you know, which is maybe like, I don't know, psychological, you know.
Like down the
subconscious is the word I'm looking for.
He's draining.
He's Adrian, yeah. Instead of Adrian, you know, but sure. Anyway, yeah, we'd love to go out on a set of polkas.
Polka
Excellent.
high.
Well, let me get that properly said. Alyn and Adrian. Thanks for coming in with us today. We appreciate it.
I'm Micah.
And Micah, thank you much. And here's the Belfast Boys taking us out. Cheers. Don't forget the CD release party on Friday the 21st. The album is called Songs for Crying Out Loud, and we'll see you soon.
All right, this is a wee set of polkas here. Nothing more Irish than Irish polkas.
Just a wee set of polkas.
A wee set of polkas. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.